Welcome to the Tuesday edition of Juan's World, and I mentioned last time that I have a new video editor, and this time I'm going to put it through its paces a little bit, not much, but it's got some bells and whistles. So that's the fun part, and I'm also going to make some pho, spelled P-H-O, pho. It's a Vietnamese noodle dish. I'm not going to do too much with that because it's pretty easy to do, unless you want to make your own pho broth, in which case then you've got 2 days of cooking on your hands. But otherwise it's pretty simple. So this is just an experiment. So let's get started. Alright, so let's get started with a little bit of cooking. Just a little bit, because this is fun, not pho, but I still want to show you how I make pho. You can, if you want to spend 3 days on it, make a beef broth, and I'll show you the ingredients and what you have to do. You need bones, you need various stewing beef and herbs and all kinds of stuff, and you have to boil and boil and boil for days and days and days. Some people even just make their pho stock as a common stock pot. They just keep adding to it periodically, and then they take bits off to actually finish off the pho dish, but they keep a separate stock pot going. In Vietnam mostly, although in Cambodia as well too. So I didn't do that. I used a commercial brand of pho stock. I'm just looking around here to see if I've got it. Yeah, there it is. There's my pho stock, which I use in preference to spending 3 days cooking it all up. I mean, it's not as good, but it's okay, and it's probably what most of the restaurants use in Vietnam as well as elsewhere. Certainly in the United States they use. I'm guaranteed they don't make pho stock from broth. So boil up the broth, add some pho noodles, and then what I usually do is I have very thinly sliced beef, which I place in the bowl, and then I pour the boiling pho stock over it with the noodles and so forth, which is also very traditional. In a restaurant, what they do typically is they bring you really steaming hot broth and other things in a bowl and a separate plate with the raw beef, and you put it in and it immediately cooks because it's very, very thin. And other things that can be added, I don't have them here, but I pretty normally when I get the pho in a restaurant, I ask for Bible tripe, which is thinly sliced, and meatballs, and it also always comes with bean sprouts, Thai basil, and what's called in Cambodia, I don't know what it is. It's a sort of a sawtooth leaf called culantro. It's not cilantro. It's nothing to do with that. But they bring those to you to the table, and a wedge of lime, and a dish with a hot sauce and a sweet sauce. In this case, I've got a very hot sauce and an oyster sauce. And what you do is you squeeze the lime in there and stir it around, and then add in the bean sprouts and the culantro leaf, and you have to pluck off the the basil leaves and put them in, and stir it all around. and then eat with chopsticks and a spoon. And when you get to the beef, then you take it out and dip it into the hot sauce or the sweet sauce, or or mix them together, whatever you prefer. But you don't put them into the broth. You keep them out separate to add ingredients to as you're eating. So that's fair, very simple, no problem. My other point of discussion picks up from where I ended up last week on change. And see, change is a very complicated subject. I'm not going to get into it now. I'm going to just speak about the verb conserve. That how do you conserve something? You can conserve an environment, an ecology. You can conserve a particular species. You can also conserve a culture. And if you're of a political bent, then you may be called conservative, which is how the Tories ended up. They were originally called Tories in the 19th century. The two parties were Whigs and Tories. And the Tories had this habit of wanting to conserve the culture, to not to reform or change or anything like that. They wanted to conserve what they had. And so they ended up calling themselves a conservative party. Now, what does it mean to be politically conservative? Okay, well, tune in on Friday and I'll give you a more extended example. And I hope in meantime you have enjoyed the stupid stuff that I've been putting in and around my face as I've been talking, and also around the recipe to a certain extent, although I've tried to keep that fairly clean. But that's just my way of having a little bit of fun as I work with my new video editor, which is a complete nuisance in a lot of ways. So please like, please subscribe, please tell your friends, and I will see you on Friday.